Hello, this is Tom, aka Jedio, here for Star Frontiers Gamer and Tabletop Taproom, doing another Fanzine Friday. We have Fanzine Friday number 50. That means we're doing issue 25 of Frontier Explorer. Before we get to that, I just want to say thanks for watching the video. If you've not subscribed yet, please do hit the subscribe, like, and bell icon. Help me build the channel. And while you're at it, consider clicking on the link to the Cafe Press store where we got a little bit of merch. So support the channel. But moving right along, we have Frontier Explorer number 25. And I love this cover. There's so much to this cover. This is such a cool cover. Now, what you might get right away is that there's a Sathar theme going on with this issue. And you would be right. You have these plastic sunglasses here that are 4 lenses, and that's because the Sathar eyeballs have 2 irises. So this was just a cool thing the artist did, and I thought, you've got this postcard of these Sathar at the beach having their vacation. 2 of them are sunning themselves on the beach like tourists. Another one is in the water throwing a frisbee for a quick death. You have boarding passes here. You have boarding passes, tickets for this Serena Dawn, which I thought was a nice touch, and some luxury suites, affordable hotel suites. That something up here, Del Diablo. So it's like the Star Devil logo, and so some sort of a hotel, Del Diablo, and this Streel Destinations. So it's the business card from a Versk travel agent, and then the piece I really love is this nickel tone. Moderate protection nickel tone suntan lotion, like copper tone, but it's for drolocytes, because you can see the classic copper tone logo was the child and the little terrier dog that grabbed the bathing suit, was pulling it down, and you can see the difference in their skin tone from pale skin to copper tone skin from the nice suntan. And here the drolocyte, this sand shark, that's a sand shark from Volturnus, is grabbed a hold of the drolocyte's shorts from behind and pulling them down, and you can see the drolocyte's pale white underneath, but because he's used nickel tone, he's gray. And I love that. There was just so much to this artwork. I absolutely loved it for this issue. So the artist was absolutely killing it here with this cover. One of my favorites. And I know I say that all the time, but this really is one of my favorites. And again, new layout, because we're now at post Evil Hat trademark squatting incident. Now, the first thing here is you get this book review done by me. It's Polaris Rising. And the book, honestly, because it was a fusion of a couple different genres of literature, I wasn't super excited about it, but what I loved was the settings. You visit in this science fiction story, you visit a couple different planets, and they are well drawn by the author. And I just thought, these are worth stealing for your game. And so that's my biggest takeaway from this. The plot itself is also very usable. So the book Polaris Rising, just forewarn you, they're mixing. It's a fusion of sci-fi and romance. The romance parts were kind of, but I did find the setting to be very compelling. Now the next article is more on Sathar Robots biology. I think we coined that term. We should have trademarked it. Sathar Robots biology and the ramifications of it. This is a collaboration between Laura Mumma and Joseph Kabadass. And I love this article. This is just absolutely fantastic. They cover the basics of Sathar biology, the parasitic heritage of the Sathar, segmented body and movement, uses of a dual brain. We had talked in the forums about this because they had 2 different eyes and 4 different irises, that you've actually got 4 different visual feeds going into the brains. And so there was a lot of discussion on that, and that gets covered in here. And I just thought some of this stuff was really cool. It was like, it really inspired me. And I loved this, just dissecting. I mean, look at this page after page. They really went into depth. They talk about the language and music, eyesight and weapons design. I mean, so much is covered in this article. And then somebody proposed the susceptibility to calcium poisoning, which led to the development of the Sathar bone knife. That the tips of these knives are prone to breaking off. So it was kind of an assassin weapon among Sathar society. And I really love this addition, this nice little piece of culture added to the Sathar. Just came out of one little thing. Somebody saying, well, what if they were susceptible to calcium poisoning? It was just so cool. Such a great article. So thorough. Suicide mechanism. Reproduction differences, just absolutely thorough article. Now, next article by Joseph Kabadass is the Fiendish plot of Sathar Clan X. This is a great illustration, but it doesn't belong with this article. The illustration that belongs with this article is on another article later in the magazine. Doesn't matter. Great illustration anyways. I love this, of the Sathar being in the control room working his controls. And what this article is about a little trap called the Laser Slave. And it's a device that it's kind of a trap. And so player characters find it, they could fall susceptible to this trap. And so you get this quick little article. It's just a 2-page article describing this little fiendish plot of the Sathar. And I thought this was great. Next up, Joseph was the workhorse for this article, for this issue. Know Thy Enemy, Examining Sathar Robots. Now, what he's done here is he has compiled all the instances of Sathar robots where we got stat blocks for a Sathar robot, but then he took illustrations, like this is an illustration, and this is supposed to be a Sathar robot, but we didn't get a stat block for it. So what has he done? He's done the snakehead attack robot. And so this is just a super thorough page upon page Sathar robots. So you need some Sathar robots, you can go through here, and I mean, this is the illustration of the cockroach robot. It appeared in a couple of different locations. Just massive work done by Joseph on this. Now, this article is Sathar Ships of the Frontier, a short history of Sathar naval operations excluding Sathar War 1. That should actually read the Sathar Wars. I treat the Sathar Wars as special conditions. But this is all of the minor incursions and raids done by the Sathar, and it's from every canon source. So when you look at this, you've got Zebulon's Guide. What we learn in Zebulon's Guide about Sathar naval activity that is not either of the wars. Nighthawk's Tactical Operations Manual. So we cover some of those battles, those scenarios put in there that I just judged to, well, let's treat this as not part of any of the wars. The Warriors of White Light had a couple of encounters. Starspawn of Volturnus, the Sathar show up there. Face of the Enemy, War Machine. And then you get into all of these. Now, those are all the modules, but now we get into combing through all of the official magazines put out by TSR. The XV-1 incident from Ares 15. Raid on Theseus from Polyhedron 13, Battle of Ebony Eyes from Dragon number 88, Day of the Juggernaut from Dragon 91, and Raid on Zebulon from Dragon 95. So many of these things, I treat them as historic incidents, and I just refer to them as the Theseus raid, the Zebulon raid. Note in the Zebulon raid, there is a space station orbiting Zebulon, but when you check the astrographic catalog in Alpha Dawn and in Zebulon's Guide, there is no space station orbiting Zebulon. So I always treat it as a historic fact that during the Zebulon raid, the space station that had been built by Pangalactic Corporation got wiped out as one of the results of that raid. That becomes historic fact in my campaign. That's how I handle that. But I treat all of these pretty much as historic events that have happened. And, you know, so that was what I was trying to do, was just catalog all of these. And there should be more, you know, and you absolutely, you write in more. There should be more things going on. And I probably should have actually been a little bit more thorough and gone through any encounters that were put in the fan magazines. That would have made this a little bit more thorough. And so, but you at least have this that is a thorough review of all of the naval encounters that are not part of the actual wars. Next up is Know Thy Enemy, looking at Sathar Vehicles. And again, Joseph's just killing it here. So we grabbed this illustration. This comes out of the Star Spawn of Volturnus, just to remind you of this Sathar vehicle. This is some sort of a half track. Now, we did not actually get stats for a Sathar half track, but when you scroll down in this article, what do we have here? We have the Treadworm. It is a half track transport. So Joseph's compiling all of the vehicle stats that were ever provided to us for Sathar Vehicles. And then he's taking illustrations where we got vehicles, but no stats, extrapolating what those stats would be. And he developed a few more. So this is, again, this guy just kills it with thoroughness. And I love that about a writer. I mean, like right here, this little sidebar, vehicle crews. And he provides you sample stats for the vehicle crews, for a typical gun crew. I mean, just talk about thorough, you know. And it's like one of those, but wait, there's more. You get two for the price of one. I mean, it's just absolutely thorough stuff. And I love his work in this. So here's the article where I talked about the laser slave illustration. Here it is. And so this guy's got a little zombie look because this thing starts to take a toll on your body. And so this is actually an article not about the laser slave, but about Sathar castes, the middle caste, upper caste. And this is proposing some stats and equipment bundles for these different level of Sathar within the Sathar organization. And so that's a very handy article if you're having a big Sathar campaign, a big Sathar theme to your particular Star Frontiers campaign. And then we get Stalked by Death. Now, again, I was on the road a lot. You know, a lot of stuff going on, bouncing back and forth between two different states. So I wasn't contributing a lot, but this article, Stalked by Death, was written by me, but it was published in RPG Review number 20 back in 2013. Now, RPG Review is out of Australia by Lev Lafayette. It can be a little bit of a challenge to locate it on the internet sometimes. So I just thought, you know what, we should make this a little bit more accessible. You have to really be out there looking for RPG Review. And the Frontier Explorer is a little easier to find. You know, sorry, Lev. I love your magazine, but so we went ahead and reprinted it here in 2019, 6 years after it debuted in RPG Review. RPG Review, I love the magazine. It's well, if you can track it down, it's well worth your time to find that magazine. It's for all different RPGs. So this is an examination of the Quickdeath, pulling out some of their canon details about them being ambush hunters, that they have that ability to be camouflaged and to surprise. So they are very much an ambush hunter. This is an examination of them stalking and ambushing and how you can use a Quickdeath. So this is not a simple, you're rolling for a wandering monster. Okay, we have a wandering monster. Now we're rolling to see which one. Oh, it's a Quickdeath. All right, everybody, lock and load. Just line up and shoot. No, none of that. This is examining how you would use this to develop an encounter with the player characters, how it's stalking them, how it's going to make them a little bit nervous maybe, because they don't know. They may not realize what's stalking them at first. And then the big reveal happens. So it's kind of a little bit like the situation in the movie Alien. They don't know what it is, but it's moving about the ship. They see some evidence of it, and then all of a sudden, now you have the big encounter. And so that's what this 2-page article is, examining how to develop a stalking encounter where the Quickdeaths working to stalk and attack the player characters. And there's a little bit of a discussion about countermeasures for the player characters. Hey, we're being stalked. What should we do about that? Then next up is a collaboration between myself and Tom Stevens. It's a 1-page article proposing some variant Quickdeaths for Star Frontiers. The Snow Death, the Titan Death, and the Lesser Death. Now, the Quickdeath itself is a large creature. So the Lesser Death is a medium carnivore. The Titan Death is a giant. 300 stamina, bad boy. Giant carnivore, and then we threw in a snow death. You know, when you're the Sathar and invading a snow-covered planet, you know, you would bioengineer maybe a snow death optimized for the snow setting. Then next up is Titan Rising comic. You can read that yourself. And then we get the Scuglo. It is an insect that can infect a player character. It is from Hakosoar, and it's just a 1-page write-up on this insect, and we get the artwork from the writer. And I always love when a writer provides fresh artwork themselves. So very handy, and Brian was very good for that. Next up is the Whiteheaded Treebouncer. This is our Ecology of article by Eric Windsor. And in the middle of that, there was advertisement for a new release, Harvest's Moon Adventure for Frontier Space. You can check that out on drive-thru. Know Thy Enemy, Sathar Swarm Tactics. I love this article. It's by Joseph Kabadass again, and he talks about cohort composition, and this is using those Sathar cast again. So you've got pictured here in this illustration, you have obvious cannon fodder, and then slightly better equipped warriors who are middle caste, and then an upper caste leader with the best equipment. And not only that, you get, if you don't have miniatures, you get a whole page of cardboard stand-up Sathar, you know, cut and fold Sathar miniature standees here to game with, which is a nice resource if you need it. And then lastly is the Escape Plan comic on the back page. So there you have it. Frontier Explorer number 25 with one of the best covers ever done by Brian von Lauten. And I mean, this is just so whimsical and funny. It is actually called A Summer of Sathar for our summer issue in 2019. And I absolutely love this particular cover. So this is Tom for Tabletop Chapter on the Star Frontiers Gamer with another Fanzine Friday. Thanks for watching the video. Thanks to my subscribers. You guys are great. And I will see you in the frontier.